as a veteran, small business owner, what can we do for you?
What we can all do for all veteran business owners is promote each other.
My main mission was to look at tools of technology to leverage small business and give them more of a competitive advantage.
My mission for Veteran Bargains is very simple: to help vets.
That story in itself, to run for Vista City Council, is a journey.
I think this is an opportunity to really collaborate with those gone before us.
It's really kind of a labor of love.
And now your host.
And welcome back to another episode on the National Veterans Radio Network. I'm your host, Shelly Harrison. On our Veterans Radio show, we talk with heroes in action, making a difference for our veteran community. Just take a look at any successful business, organization, or institution, and you'll find a veteran or military spouse in a leadership role behind that success. We want to thank our audiences for joining us. We're getting started a little bit late today, but we are here and we are with a wonderful guest today that you'll meet here in just a moment. We want to thank our listeners on Facebook, YouTube, Google. I mean, we're on a lot of different platforms here on this network, and we thank you for joining us. Please make sure that when we have our guest on, feel free to ask questions. We welcome your comments, and we really want to make sure that you get a great show today with our guest. My guest today is Marc Sigmon. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about him before we bring him on. He is a retired Navy veteran, community leader. He is an agent and CEO at Marc Sigmon Insurance Agency. And he is also with the NAIFA California San Diego. He's an affiliate. As a service-connected disabled veteran-owned small business, he provides customized risk management solutions to individuals, families, business owners, and our beloved military and our veterans. Marc was recently, I did a little bit of searching on his LinkedIn page, and he was on Fox 5 San Diego, KSWB TV, a little while ago, and talking about Medicare, Covered California, and the impacts of the Affordable Plan Rescue Act, and looking forward into 2022. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Marc Sigmon onto the show.
Hey, Shelly. Good afternoon to you.
How are you doing?
It took us a little bit to get here, but thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, well, we made it, and we're here, and we're going to have a great interview. And what I would like to start with is, thanking you for your service. First and foremost, Marc, thank you so much for serving our country. And why don't you tell our audience what branch of the military you've served?
Well, since I live right on the footstep of Camp Pendleton, I always, I'm right here with the Marines. I served with the Navy, but I was fortunate enough to have time when I served with all of the branches in different operations. So I have a deep appreciation no matter what branch of the service anybody served in.
Oh, well, we thank you and your family, and just know how much you're appreciated for your service. I would love for our audience to hear your military story. If you can kind of start wherever you want to start in the story and just tell us a little bit about your military experience.
I'm a very proud person of a military family. My grandfather is a Pearl Harbor survivor. My uncle and my stepfather both honorably served in Vietnam. My cousin served in the Gulf War, and then I enlisted in 1995 out of Colorado. Why you see the banner right there. Then my first tour was with the USS Baton, and that's where I served with the Marines, and the first deployment I went on was around the turn of the century. So we experienced Y2K when we were in Italy. So wow. All of the systems, everybody said everything was going to stop working, and we only
remember that.
Yeah. We only lost one system that everybody was worried about, and of course it was a navigation system, but we got that all fixed. And then right after 9/11, we deployed. We were supposed to deploy on the 19th anyway, and we supported the operations in Afghanistan. So we took the MEU over, and then we came home. Well, in the middle of being out to sea for 4 months, continuously.
Yeah.
We had a few beer days at that. And then I was up for orders. So I thought, hey, man, the CBs, they go to Guam, Okinawa, Puerto Rico, and Okinawa, or I think I missed one, and think that it's a deployment. I'm like, well, I can wear dungarees or camis and drive a bulldozer or whatever.
Yeah.
What wasn't in the brochure was when the Marines go and get deployed, they take the CBs with them. So I turned right back around and spent 2002 in Kuwait, and then 2003, 2004 in Iraq.
Gosh.
And then I transferred out of there, became a military instructor up in Great Lakes. Came out and served on the USS Binfold. Served at couple shore communication stations out here on the West Coast, and then my last ship was the USS Bruins. So I commissioned 2 ships, so I'm a plank owner on both of them, and so it's that was my story. But it was a funnest time. We had some great memories, did some amazing things, and it all prepared me for the next stage in life.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that. As far as your military experience, how did that help you launch your business?
It was kind of by accident. When I was on active duty, my stepdad passed away, and
I'm so sorry to hear that.
And unfortunately, my mother didn't get any of the proceeds of the life insurance because she was his second marriage. He'd never talked to an agent to update that as life changes happen.
Oh my goodness!
But marriages, divorces, having a child, whatever. It's hard enough to get people to sit down with me now. So as life changes happen, people always need to review where they're at, and we learned that the hard way, right?
They sure do. That's such a good point.
So in 2013, much like what was just happening in Washington, D.C., they were shutting down the government, and we were waiting for the funding. Well, I found out that I wasn't going to get promoted again, and I thought, well, there might be another option, and I went out and got my bachelor's degree while I graduated from DeVry right before I retired. So I had my experience and I had some education to back it up, so that I was hopefully going to be attractive in the job market. My mom was turning 65 about this time, and I got interviewed and hired on at a life insurance company that was focused in Medicare. So she was my first client. Aww. And that's how I physically got into the business. Now, the military side, we know how to really set a plan to schedule our day. We know how to get up, we know how to show up, and we know how to do the discipline that we have as starting a business. So I was fortunate because I had a lot of leeway in the companies that I worked for. I was an independent contractor, and I was a modified W-2 at another organization, and so I had flexibility in my schedule. And then I just realized through all of those experiences, I thought, well, I need to be an independent, because there's some people of the market that I was serving that I needed to develop a couple more skill sets, and that's what led me to go out independent and start my own agency.
Yeah, and how long have you been independent now?
Well, I went independent in September of 2019. And then I incorporated of March of 2020. So the timing couldn't have been any better, right?
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Right at the start of the pandemic. Yeah. But congratulations, though, for doing that in such a pivotal year. You know?
I learned a lot. And I think that, right away, a lot of the people that I talked about, the rug was pulled out from underneath their feet, because the majority of the time when I was talking to them about personal insurance, they get it through work. I write some of those policies through some businesses, so I do the group and the individual. But they were like, "Yeah, Mark, I didn't do it." Well, when everything got pulled out from underneath them, they got furloughed or they got laid off. They needed life insurance, but they didn't know where the next dollar to the household was going to come in. So it was absolutely unethical to try to put in any expense into the household. So there were some very emotional and very real conversations that I had with a lot of people,
Yeah. And what do you think? Well, what do you think the silver lining was? Just kind of going through that, knowing, how your clients were feeling and what they were experiencing. What was the silver lining for you and your business?
The silver lining was that I basically shifted from a life focus to a health focus, because everybody needed, in the state of California, everybody needs individual coverage. Otherwise, they're going to get fined, right? And so
Yeah.
when I changed that, and I changed my focus to really getting in the households and helping them, well, then now all of a sudden the other lines, the disability, the long-term care, the life insurance, and in some financial side, those are starting to open up again. And then the employers needed to retain the employees. So now some employers that were like, yeah, group benefits aren't really on my radar. Well, now they are. And so we've been able to position ourselves to be able to not only represent or provide services to the employer, but then when I go back around and I enroll the employees, well, they need to do and make sure that their households are properly protected. So if there's an extra gap there, well, I write individual policies so we can take care of that at the same time. So it's really been beneficial. I think whether it's a co-opetition, kind of a win, like kind of a frenemy in a sense, but before the pandemic, we'd go to the networking functions and we'd see other insurance agencies, and we'd make some connections and things like that. But since the pandemic, it's really truly, how can I help you? What can you write that I can't, or what can I write that you can't? And I think that that's really another branch off of the resources that we all provide each other. And so I mean, it's like you said, silver linings are all over the place.
Yeah. And there's so much business out there, because if you think about it, all of us need auto insurance. We need, some form of medical insurance, and, there's group insurance out there, for employers. And, but that's great though. And it sounds like it was probably a really good year for you, just being able to really kind of, connect with your clients and, knowing some of the painful situations that they were going through.
Well, see, I think that's really kind of an interesting point there, was because when I decided to do this and I built my business plan, it was literally to take my my GI Bill benefits and use that BAH and use that as my operating capital every month. And so then my goal was, by the time that I finished up my MBA, that I was going to generate enough business to where I didn't need that money anymore. And then that gave me the foundation so that I build that. And that's exactly where I'm at right now, is that I just have accomplished that. So that
congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Because it takes discipline.
Well,
right? It does.
And I also had some great training to Sandler sales system. I think that's really, because everything that I do is for my clients. If people talk to me, there's so many times when people say, how do you get paid? Or I don't want to waste your time. I get that a lot. And I say, you're not wasting my time, because are you better off after the appointment than before? Yes, that's the service that I provide. I would love to earn your business, but I would be a fool to think that every single person that I sat down with was going to result in a policy. If I can earn that trust, and I could be that trusted advisor for them, so in the good times and the bad, that's how I'm going to really establish myself, both in my community, among the veterans, and anybody else. So and I've always kept a little my love and appreciation for my fellow veterans at the forefront as well. So those are some of the activities that you were mentioning before.
Yeah,
so
thank you for doing that. We appreciate that you're, giving back and paying it forward to our veterans. And, and I want to remind our audience, we're here with Marc Sigmon, and we hope that you subscribe to our channel here at the Veterans Radio Network. Today, we are going through and learning a little bit more about Marc. He is a veteran from the, in the military. And I'm going to go back to Marc, and we're going to finish up some questions here. So Marc, as far as what challenges do you face in your business that you've conquered, and how can your experience help others?
I think that's really kind of what we were just talking about, was just leaning back on the other veteran community. I think that one of the things that we really truly do is that in the military, we always feel like we have to justify our position. We always have to think, like, if we're going to try to suggest a change, don't just complain, but come with a solution. And we always have to make sure that we're doing all of that background. Well, from the outside looking in, just because of the fact that we serve our country, a lot of people don't really expect us to justify anything. As we go through and start attending our meetings and go to a networking mixer or go attend a function, you always thought like, oh my gosh, here I am around a bunch of business owners. Or now, because I sit on the Defense Veterans and Military Affairs Committee down in San Diego, and then I work with the Veterans Action Committee up in Riverside and Marietta.
Oh,
I'm face to face with some of the same people that I would stand at attention to. But I introduce to them and say, hi, my name's Mark. I'm here to help, and so many times there's so much when somebody says that we get so much information. Who can we trust? What are some of the people? Because, I mean, just for example, I was recently trying to get myself certified as a disabled service-connected small business owner. I received an email from someone, and I did followed up with them, and they said, hey, we can help you earn this certification, and it's only going to cost you about $4,000. Well, if I go to the Small Business Development Council directly here in San Diego County, they're going to do all of that for nothing. So it is always about who can you really truly trust. And I think the more that I lean on government, county, some of the action, Veteran Chamber of Commerce and things, and more that I can really lean on some other people as they collaborate, because we're in this thing together,
and there's a lot of resources out there
exactly
that are available.
There's so many times when you try to go down a road and you might be thinking that you're down a hallway, and then it's a dead end, and it's frustrating over and over again. And to be able to communicate that and say, hey, here's what I'm struggling with, don't be afraid to reach out. I think that's the biggest obstacle that you have, because you have pride and you think, hey, I can shoulder this. This was what I was responsible for. And I'm running my company, but now it's more along the lines of, hey, I'm an open book. Here's what I'm good at. Here's what I need help with. So talk to me to see what we can do. And then the next thing you know, you're in a room full of people, and we sit down and we talk about what everybody's working on. Here's a couple emails with certified and almost vetted people for you to talk to, that you don't have to think that their agenda is other than helping vets. And I think that's really,
I love hearing that. And in fact, I'm going to do a little plug here. December 11th, the National Veterans Chamber of Commerce, in partnership with the Inland Empire Women's Business Center, we're actually doing a luncheon for women veteran business owners, and it's going to be fully hosted by the Inland Empire Women's Business Center, and it's going to be here in Rancho Cucamonga on December 11th. And we have room for as many women who are in business that are veterans serving any branch. And if you want more details, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or even through the National Veterans Chamber of Commerce. So talking kind of in hand, Mark, with what you were saying as, things that, resources and things that are out there. And if they're having difficulty in their business, we want to see how we can help them.
Right. And I think that's really the neat thing about it. I mean, I was honored to host a workshop about entrepreneurs. And the next thing you know, I was introduced to an organization called VetFran. Well, if anybody has any aspirations of being a franchise owner, they have a many ready-made applications for our veterans. And then sometimes I was told that they actually award a franchise to a veteran once a year. So,
oh my gosh.
Right. And it's just that here you are thinking about this, and spouses and veterans, a lot of these organizations address the active duty, the reserves, the spouses, all of those forgotten people, like, oh, hey, I'm just kind of tagging along for the ride. Absolutely not. With all of these resources that are out there, it's really amazing that they are there to help everybody associated with the military.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's important to remember, all of them, including the military spouses and the families. Very true. And I'm kind of going to go in a little bit of a different direction. As a child, what did you want to be when you got older, and why?
Wow. As a child, I
Mhm.
was always thinking that I was going to be maybe a business owner, but more along the lines, I thought that it was going to be in the financial area. And then I
Mhm.
realized that as I was growing up, I was more of a people person. So yeah, I wasn't going to be the accountant stuck in the back office, not on that side.
Yeah, very detail oriented.
Yeah, absolutely.
The
And I think
accounting.
that, the love of other people is what really
Yeah.
has developed and kind of led me to this career. But, realistically, as a child, it was just that I knew that it was going to be somewhere dealing with finances or business or something along those lines.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And as far as people reaching out to you, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, that's just really kind of where I was fortunate, was because I really got pulled aside by the dean of academics there at DeVry. His name's Jim Rodish. I owe him so much because he said, "Hey,
Oh, you
have you
just
ever
gave him a
heard
shout out.
right
Yeah.
a business alliance group?" And a
Mhm.
business alliance group is kind of like a BNI or a LTIP, but it's all with the chamber members because they have
Yeah.
like 2,500 members. So I joined one, and then I met Fox 5. I met Go Be Rewarded, who does all of my work. So what I do is that I take a month and I say, hey, this is what I'm going to put out there. My marketing team puts together a video of me just talking kind of like this. I send it over to Fox 5. Fox 5 puts it out to the local market so that they can identify who's the best people. And then it
Yeah.
all leads back to my webpage, marksigmon.com.
Hmm.
My email is insurance@marksigmon.com. You have, Facebook that always says Mark Sigmon Agency, or you can just find me, and then it leads there where my page is as well. Yeah. So I think that when you're really doing that, the branding aspect is really what I've really taken on and is a strength of mine, is because there's times now when people are calling me or emailing me or setting an appointment on my calendar. uh, the silver lining out of the
Mm.
pandemic, as you were talking about before, was that I had to
Yeah.
digitize everything. So now when I'm on the phone with them, how did you get my number? Well, I saw you active on Facebook. I saw you on Fox 5. I saw you on here. So I thought, you'd be a good person to reach out so that you could help me. And so it's working,
Yeah.
So, it's
Well,
like,
good
and
for you, because marketing sometimes that's a hard piece to cover when you've got so many other, things that are happening in your business. And
right.
marketing, sometimes you have to either hire someone or, have an internal where you hope that, that you hire the right people. Most
That's such a
definitely.
I think that's really one of the keys that I learned, was that I know what I'm good at and I
Hmm.
know what I'm not good at. So if I'm not good at
Yeah.
it, either, like you said, either hire somebody or bring somebody on
Outsource it. Oh
to
yeah.
outsource it. Don't even stress it,
Outsource.
because by the time you
Yeah.
figure it out on your own,
Or
you're going to be
train
so,
someone.
yeah. How much man
Yeah.
hours did you waste just trying to do that when it would have been worth it for you to have somebody else do that
Oh,
for
that's
you?
so true.
You
That's
know,
so true.
absolutely.
And Mark, we're coming to the end of the interview, and what I would love to ask you is, what words of wisdom would you like to share with our audience?
Wow. I saw this, and I really appreciate everybody here with the Veterans Chamber of
Oh, thank
Commerce,
you.
with Laura Torres with Blue Star Families, the relationship that her and
Yeah.
I have had that really led me here. I
Yeah.
think that realistically, you almost have to think about it. Like, an idea just becomes an idea until you write it down. Once you write it
Hmm.
down, it becomes a plan. And when the plan is met with action, it's going to be a result. And I think that, as
Yeah.
simple as that sounds, you really have to truly take time away to really ask
Yes.
yourself those hard questions and say, where do I want to be in a certain amount of time? You have to have, a roadmap. And then when you put it down on paper, say, okay, how am I going to get there?
Hmm.
We're going to get it wrong every step of the time, because there's going to be something that came up that's not going to allow us to be where we thought we were going to be.
Yeah.
But you never have an opportunity to be great if you don't try to be good in the beginning. And I think that
Yeah.
that's really, you have to be dedicated. You have to stick to it. It's not going to be easy, but you're not in this thing alone. With all of
Mm.
these places that we were talking about, all the little
The
shout outs to people.
resources and Yeah.
Exactly. Utilize them and don't be guilty because like, well, I only served this amount of time. You raised your hand, you stood on the line, and you
Mm.
completed your service to this country. These
Yeah.
places, you qualify to be there. You earned it. You don't have to justify that to anybody. So if there's an opportunity for you and somebody gives you that, the only thing that you can do is just when the opportunity turns around that you're asked to give it to somebody else and pay it forward. I think that's
Yeah.
really that you never resist the opportunity when something happens to you and you say, hey, would you like to do this? The NAFA California, being the affiliate leader, they came to me and they said, hey, this is we would like you to take this role. And I'm like, well, I'm trying to build my business. I'm not sure I'm the right person. Say yes. Figure out the logistics later. Say yes. And the opportunities will just come in. And out of that, I can't even tell you about how much my business has grown just because
just by opening up those channels and the opportunities and saying yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And you already have the skill sets. You already have the desire. You already have everything that you've done. The difference is somebody told you that this is what you were supposed to be doing. Now you get the chance to say, I get to do this. I don't have to do this. I get to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm a student.
For saying that.
I don't come up with all of these things on my own. It's just that I'm around great people that have really imparted a lot of great wisdom on me. And I just try to put it into action every day.
Isn't that great that you can say that you have all these wonderful people around you,
right?
And they're cheerleaders for you and they're helping you in your business and, really championing. It's a hard word to say, championing you for what you're doing. And it's opening more doors for you, which is great. Yeah.
This is such an honor. And I really want to thank you for your time to really discuss this as well. So I've been looking forward to this for a while.
Well, and it was great to meet you. And, we are coming to the end of our broadcast here on the Veterans Radio Network. I do want to thank our backstage folks and also our executive director, Joseph Molina. And he's out there. He's doing great things for our chamber. And we want to thank Laura Torres and Jimmy Dong, who is also part of our Chamber of Commerce, and also Dahlia Rivera. She's doing our social media sometimes, and we want to thank our team because they do so much to really make this a wonderful program, and we get to meet a lot of fabulous people like we did today with Marc Sigmon. I want to thank everybody for joining us, and subscribe and make sure that you watch the whole show today. We had a great guest, Marc Sigmon, and thank you again for being here, and we will see you next time.